evening, ladies and gentlemen. Do I have a motion to go into open? Second. Second. That was Mr. Bowman. We are now open. All in favor? Aye. Officially now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the middle school auditorium. Just for people who haven't been to board meetings recently, we actually started our board meeting open at 6:30, and we immediately went into closed to another part of the building and had a closed session meeting. And in that meeting, we talked about the state of the personnel issue, and we came back here, and now I just made a motion to go into open, and so here we are. We already did the 5, so 6:30. So it's doing the 5, so we already did it. So thank you, and we are going to start right now with the principal's report. We have a lot of wonderful students here today, and we'd like to, has Ms. Carl come on up? Fantastic. We're just setting up the projector for a moment.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I just wanted to greet everybody, and I'm just going to give you a little overview of what our recent month has been like. We did finish our park testing, the first round of park testing in March. We have started our second round of park testing, which is going to be a lot shorter. We had 3 weeks in March, 1 grade level each week, and the tests are shorter this time around, so we will be able to do 2 in 1 day, and we have 6 days to get the 3 grade levels done. So far, tomorrow we're on our 3rd day, and we'll finish up on Monday. We started in April with Poetry Month. Each of the students are writing, in their English classes, should be writing poetry, and they will be judged on those by the teachers, and then those will be submitted for a winner for the school for each grade level. We also recognize Autism Awareness Month by wearing blue to bring awareness to the cause. And many of the teachers had blue on, the students had blue on, and I know that they asked also to use blue lights at your house, etc., to bring recognition to the cause of autism. The end of our working period was April 2nd. We then went on vacation, came back, and started our last working period of the year. During the month of April, we also had 5 junior achievement trips, which I'll do a short presentation on some of the pictures that we received from them while students were on the trip. This is a piece of the social studies curriculum that we implemented this year, which really teaches the students about money, economics, finances, financial investing. A lot of the 8th graders really opened their eyes as far as what it takes to run a household, how much money you need to actually live. And according to the teachers, I wasn't on that trip. I did go with to one of the JA BizTown trips. The 8th grade trip is called JA Park. It's a little bit more in depth as far as economics goes. And they did say, wow, I'm never going to ask my parents for those expensive sneakers again. Another one, I got great feedback at the PTA meeting. A lot of the parents were telling me that the students really enjoyed it. They came home, they talked about it. They kind of talked about what they learned, and also that they wanted to help their parents. One of the moms said that her son now wants to sit down and do bills with her so that he can learn how to pay household expenses and how to save and how to, they learned a little bit about compounding interest and things like that so that they can save more money. So that was pretty much our month in review. I also have students to recognize, which I'd like to do because I know some of them do have other games and they won't be here. So if I could do that first and go back to the slideshow, that's okay with you? These students are being recognized for a special pen pal program that they have with one of our special ed classes. And they do a great job. Many of them have, they try to rotate so there's different students and they get to know more of the students. There's also a group of students I'll mention at the end that also are being specially recognized for thinking of and actually doing a nice gesture. Most of the students, when it's their birthday, their friends come in and decorate their lockers. And with the special ed students, a lot of times they don't recognize that. So these students thought of it and also implemented coming in and decorating the lockers. And the students were really shocked and thrilled to death that they did it. So it was really a nice gesture by them. Those students that thought of and actually implemented it are Alexis Selinsky, Emma Selinsky, come on up. Deleuze. And Madison Zelensky. And Madison Martinez. Carlet, Julia Berlinski, Matthias Carrion, Alexis Selinsky, Emma Selinsky, Madison Selinsky, Luana Deleuze, Brianna Feliciano, Kevin Feliciano, Nicole Moore, Aaron Galvin, Seth Levine, Madison Martinez, and John Marie Sanders. I was just asked to clarify a little bit about what the pen pal program was, and those are students that volunteer to write letters back and forth with our special ed students. These are students that, you know, there's a small group of them in the classroom. There's not a large class, so they don't have as much exposure with the other kids. And it helps them with their writing skills, and it also helps them to interact with those students because they will come up and they'll have lunch with them, they'll engage them, they'll talk with them. Sometimes they'll be down in the cafeteria with them, they'll talk to them in the cafeteria, and it's giving them some familiar faces that they can relate to when they're in the cafeteria, in the hallways, and, you know, at different functions. So it really helps them socially and academically.
Thank you so much. Boys and girls who are still here, I just want to congratulate you and just, I mean, I don't even know if you know how much of a profound effect you've made on the lives of your peers and those students, whether it's through the pen pal program or just by decorating the library. I think that is a fantastic job that you did. It's, I mean, giving put-ups, as I call them, instead of put-downs, and just give people pass them back are free, but they have an everlasting effect. And you know, especially people, I enjoy getting compliments, and so does everyone else does, and I think you've made a really good impact. And at your age, you're off to a great start, so again, congratulations.
Just say no.
This is our mayor being sworn in. They were assigned these jobs from their social studies classes, so they were all predetermined before they got there. This is the JA Biztown Bank. On their break, it was very organized. They had a little dot on their name tag that was colored, different colors. They announced anyone with a red dot is now on a break. You need to go to the bank, cash your check, make a deposit, take money out. These are some of our tellers. This is our wellness center, some of our students working in the wellness center. This was a UPS station. You can see the kids really dressed up. They really played the part. This was the on-air station. They did play music throughout the day and also made announcements from there. This is one of the financial services. Scientists. These are, at the end of the day, the CEOs from each of those stations had to make a presentation about how much money was brought in or went out, or what their services did, so that everyone would know what their participation was for that day. This was the 8th graders. As you can see, it's an investment company. And that's one of the social studies teachers, Mr. Riggy. Again, you can see them very engaged, using the computers, and they really enjoyed it too. I think they did a lot more posing than the ad-libbing. It looks like an electronic company or PSG. And here you see them all engaged in probably a project that they were assigned. There was one person from BizTown or Junior Achievement that stays with them and directs them throughout it so that they always stay on task. This looks like one of the people that are hired by them. They actually do have volunteers that come in also. Again, you see them working on a task that has to come to fruition by the end of their time there. And they do spend the day, so it's a lot of fun.
Soldiers in 150 Broad Street. My questions regarding, I guess, number one, resignations. I don't see appointments to make up for those positions.
Yes, they will be resigning as of June 30th, so we have not advertised for the position yet.
And they will be, it's filled. The positions
They will be filled, yes. They will not be removed, they will be filled.
And just real quick, and I'll do the rest later, but for 12 district contracts, so you have a contract for internet access and phone provider, then you have another contract for the internet, and then you have another contract for telecommunications. Just wondering why you have three contracts for what appears to be similar services.
Unfortunately, Mr. Estrada, who is our technology person, who oversees all of this, is not with us this evening. He's the expert that could give you the fine point difference between each of these. I mean, obviously, some is for the phone, which is phone services, others for internet, and then it's my understanding some of it is for the connection between the different buildings. Perhaps Mr. Vida, our board member?
Not here. It's not here either. I mean, it's almost.
Losing out here, no Mr. Estrada, no Mr. Vida. But it certainly could get you some further information.
Because it's almost $6,000. Just wondering, maybe there's a way to do a study to see if
this all results from E-rate funding, where we go out to bid to get the best prices, and then we do get some refunds from each of these companies as a result. Perhaps if you'd like, I could have Mr. Estrada write up a more detailed explanation for you. I know we'd like to share this with the community and news media.
Thank you.
Jacob became 612 Sherwood Lane, Roselle Park, ladies and gentlemen, and children in the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, good evening. Item number 13. Please explain that.
Many school districts, including Roselle Park, frequently participate in what's known as a lease purchase. It's similar to an individual taking out a loan to purchase items that they need. For school districts, this is called a lease purchase. We are assisted with this through our financial advisors at MRESC, and we do go out to bid for the interest rate that will be attached to the loan, and obviously the lowest interest rate receives the bid. So what you're seeing here is the bid award, and the lowest interest rate that we were able to obtain was through U.S. Bank Leasing Financial Incorporated for 1.819% interest payback.
What are you folks buying?
As you remember from the numerous budget workshops that you attended, Mr. Majira, and thank you for being in attendance. You will recall that we mentioned we're going to be buying technology such as computers. We're going to be purchasing textbooks. We're also going to be purchasing some school furniture. We're also hoping to purchase an additional school bus to assist us in transportation and hopefully save us money. And I believe one other item, we're looking to purchase a new generator to replace one of the very old generators we have that's not functioning too well. And I believe that's it.
That's it? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And now we're going to go into the superintendent's report. Good evening, Mr. Rio.
Good evening, Mr. Miller. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. The portion of this meeting is, this portion of the meeting is set aside to address any questions with regard to the 2015-2016 budget, and that is going to be voted on at the May 12th board meeting. Please use the microphone when addressing questions to the chair prior to asking a question. And please give your name and address. Also, questions on the various budget accounts will be answered by either board members or the school personnel. What I will do now is ask Mr. Dan, the chair of the financial committee, to please begin, but I believe that we are having a little bit of a technical difficulty, so we will begin in just 1 minute. Thank you.
And also before the presentation, if any students here who need to go home and get homework, please feel free to do that. Budget presentation is going to be rather lengthy.
Okay, at this time I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to here again our public budget hearing. Tonight our agenda is going to be the budget meeting timeline, expenditures, revenue, Roselle Park state aid history, the tax impact, budget impact pros and cons, future planning, questions and answers. Also, just to bring you up to date, our budget meeting timeline, we started December 2nd, was our first finance committee meeting. February 17th, our Roselle Park board meeting adopted tentative budget, and March 20th, budget documents are due to the county office for review, which they were. They came back. April 1st, we had another budget workshop. April 17th, we received full county approval of our budget. April 22nd, we had yet again another budget workshop. April 24th, earliest date for public hearing. And then we come to today, April 28th, our public hearing for the Roselle Board Bed meeting, which we will be voting on our budget. Our last date for a public hearing would have been May 7th. May 12th, adopt the budget. All right, well, I'm sorry, May 14th, last day to adopt the budget. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Sue Gershon. She's very nice. If there's any questions, we can take them at this time. 2 minutes. All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break. Good.
Before I begin on this part of the PowerPoint presentation, I'd like to take a couple of seconds to extend my gratitude to all the members of the Finance Committee who worked very hard with me on the budget for the last several months, along with the administration also takes part in this process. It is a very long process. We begin as early as December. We do begin with a zero-based budget and slowly build from zero with all of the details and facts required to put together a budget. And we'll begin with showing you a quick overview of one of the two most important parts of any budgets. You always have your expenditure side and, of course, the matching revenue portion. If you look at this pie graph, you'll see very quickly that in any school district, overwhelming percentage of a budget is spent on salaries of staff and the health and dental benefits that go along with that staff. In fact, it's close to 80% of our budget is spent on staffing costs alone. The rest of the items in the expenditures are relatively small in comparison. In fact, most of them are so small that they don't even show up in this particular pie graph. The next largest cost to the district is tuition that we pay for students to go out of district. Those are regular education students who go to the Scotch Plains campus to attend one of those 5 high schools there, whether it's the vocational school, the magnet school, the allied health, etc. We have a number of regular education students that we pay tuition for, and then we also have a number of special needs students that are likewise sent out of district. So the cost of those tuitions is the next largest piece of the pie. Then you see a group of other items, our grant funds, our costs for Social Security, Medicare, pension, the debt service that's paying back of the bond referendum. Contracted services are people that we hire to come in and most likely repair parts of our building or do services for us. Utility costs is another 2%, supplies 2%, and then other parts very small. The next slide will show you a little bit more detail and not only shows you a greater list of more specific dollar amounts, but also shows you 4 years going back to 12-13 up through and including what we're proposing for 15-16. If you look across the rows, you'll see many of these costs remain relatively the same, small increases or decreases. And again, the largest increase is in the area of salaries, health and dental benefits to the district. In the next slide, pointing out the few items that did increase more than a tiny bit. Those are your salaries because of our collective bargaining agreement contract increases. Health and dental insurance, we're in the process of obtaining bids. Unfortunately, those bids don't come in until later in the year because health insurance companies require seeing a larger portion of the school year before they're willing to present a proposal. So an initial estimate is an estimate of 12%. That was less than last year, and we're hoping by the time the bid process is over that maybe we'll get lucky and it will come in a little bit lower than that. Out of district, tuition costs are increasing. We have a few new students who have moved into Roselle Park that require special needs and are being sent out of district. Contracted services increased a little bit. We are planning and hoping to do an educational efficiency study. Those of you that have attended past board meetings saw a presentation that we had from a company named DeCaro Rubino, who hopefully can come in and look at all of our facilities, look at our student population, look at trends, and give us some suggestions how we can possibly operate more efficiently. And if we operate more efficiently, hopefully that would mean saving the district or the community some money. Next slide shows you the other part of a budget, and that is the matching revenue. For school districts, we're relatively limited in that particular area. We do have our state aid, which unfortunately has stayed relatively flat for a number of years, and that leaves just a few other small items that bring in revenue to the school district. And of course, the largest being the There are some restrictions on what we're allowed by law to increase the tax levy by. And with the regulations that are currently in place, the dollar amount that we are allowed to do so, the increase was developed in that particular manner that you see at the far right. There's an increase that was given to us because of our increasing enrollment. We found once we added full-day kindergarten to the school district, we saw an increase in the number of students in our kindergarten program. So the state recognized that increase and gave us an adjustment when we were putting together the budget. You're allowed to increase your budget by law by 2%, and we were also given an adjustment for an increase in healthcare costs and an adjustment for banked cap, which is a figure that's somewhat stored in the New Jersey Department of Education budget software from previous years when Roselle Park School District did not go to cap. If you recall, there were 3 years where we had a 0 increase in the tax levy. So that allowed us some flexibility as a result. And the other portions of revenue are relatively small. Going back to the concept of state aid, this bar graph indicates how state aid has increased over the years, and then how it decreased over the years, and how it now is staying relatively flat. The largest amount of state aid was given to us in the year 2009, 2010, and that's when Corzine was governor. The following year, when Governor Christie was elected, there was a drastic cutback in state aid, and unfortunately for Roselle Park, that forced us, those of you who have been around a while, to lay off a number of staff members. I believe it was close to 40 staff members lost their positions as a result. The next chart, again, gives you a little bit more detail, shows you the exact dollar amounts for the total budget year by year for the last 13 years. Likewise, gives you the exact dollar amounts for state aid over the last 13 years. Notice 2009, 2010, we had that $10.6 million given to us. And currently, we're still not back to that figure. We're going to receive $250,000 less than we were receiving from the state back in 2009, 2010. And finally, in the column at the right, you see the tax levy. And unfortunately, if the state aid doesn't go up, then it's the tax levy that has to go up to assume the relative costs that have been increasing each year. So unfortunately, for the community, it has some pros and cons. Good things will happen in the district for the students. The downside, of course, is the increase to homeowners with the proposed tax levy. This particular chart shows you a possible increase in taxes depending upon your current assessed value. So if you know what your assessed value is, you can get somewhat of an idea what your increase will be. Of course, as the school district's budget increases, as the county's budget increases, as the municipal government's budget increases, all of those things have an impact on our tax levy. And if you were not aware of it, there's actually one more thing that has an impact on the tax You see on the slide large figures up top of $283 million. That's the total ratables for the town. That goes into the formula that determines the tax rate at the right. And as that amount gets smaller, it drives up the tax rate as well. And unfortunately, in the town of Roselle Park, that total rateable amount has decreased each of the last 9 years. And at this point in time, I will turn over the presentation to the superintendent that will talk a little bit more about the budget and the impact for the school district.
Thank you, Mrs. Herschel. Thank you for attending our budget presentation. I'd like to thank Mrs. Herschel for preparing such an insightful, informative presentation. This is as transparent as you can get. And we want to be transparent. We want to let you know what it is and what we have in front of us and the challenges that we have. Also, I want to thank the Finance Committee for the dedication. This wasn't easy. These took many, many meetings, some late at night, to make sure that we were doing the responsible thing. And we wanted to make sure that we were giving the students the best opportunities that we can. It is my responsibility as a superintendent to let you know the impact of the budget. Obviously, the results of an approval of the budget will have a positive impact. For example, we can maintain our programs, and when I talk about programs, I'm talking about programs that will benefit the students. There are academic programs, after-school programs, athletic programs. So these are all programs that if we do not have, it would definitely impact students' academics as well as social. We'll maintain current class sizes. Class size is one of the most important factors that impact student learning. That's a fact. We would like to maintain the class sizes that we have. Although some class sizes, as it is right now, they are larger than I would like it to be. We have some class sizes at the elementary level that are up to 24 students or so. Those are large, but we will maintain class size. We can continue the full-day kindergarten. Last year, we were able to give a little over 130 children a gift. A gift where they can have the best social experiences in the kindergarten, but not only that, they're academic as well. It is great to hear from the kindergarten teachers when they report to me that our current kindergarten students are 3 months ahead of where they were last year at this time, with a half-day kindergarten. That is a gift. This is certainly going to impact our school district as we go along. Personalized learning opportunities. What do I mean by that? As we move more to a technological world, student learning has changed. Personalized learning opportunities is the key to learning now. Hopefully, with a little bit more funding, we can start going into possibly a one-to-one device initiative, where students can take their tablets, Chromebooks, they can sit here around the class and learn individually, and they can then take it home and continue their learning. Interactive technology devices. Just as I said, personalized instruction is very important. Student engagement is just as equally important. They have wonderful devices now, interactive devices, smartboards, e-notes, that students can actually go up and interactively learn. So these are some of the areas that we would like to fund. As Mrs. Herschel said before, the lease purchase can possibly purchase an additional bus. We are spending way too much money hiring public transportation to take our students back and forth to the different schools that they attend. We will save money by having our own transportation. We have a new initiative for K through 8, which is called Balanced Literacy, and we need to support it by buying new textbooks. And possibly also technology that goes along with that curriculum. And classroom furniture. We have students sitting in aging furniture. We really need to provide our students the best classrooms that we possibly can. And also, as we go into more programs at the high school, the architectural program, STEM programs, they require special type of furniture. We cannot provide the best education in those areas. We cannot provide students with new ways of learning unless we can support that. That is a result of the budget approval. Well, what happens if we don't approve the budget? Well, here we go. We can forget any new technology opportunities that we would not be able to fund. We can forget having small class sizes because we will have to reduce the staff. Probably one per grade level, which means that the class sizes that we have currently, somewhere in the 19-20, can balloon to possibly 34, 35 in the class. And again, research says that one of the most important factors for student learning is class size. And that is something that we do not want to do to our students. Programs will be cut. Any type of programs. Any remedial programs that students can definitely use. We would need to cut. Athletic programs would need to be cut. Support staff would possibly be cut. We would not be able to afford anyone that comes in and help with students in any of these remedial classes. Obviously, we would not be able to afford a new bus. We would have to probably cut full-day kindergarten, and that gift that we just gave to them, we will have to take it back because we would not be able to afford that. And obviously, there will be no new furniture. So there is definitely a very, very serious impact on this budget. And I understand no one wants their taxes to go up. No one. However, the slide that Mrs. Grocer put up before, where it shows the 40 years of state aid that has been flat, we all know that the cost continues to go up. When we don't get any additional aid, we have to find the money from somewhere. We cannot operate and we cannot provide the best education without funding. And that is just a reality. And we're hoping that we can find other ways, which is the next slide. This board is very active, and they have asked me to look for ways, actively pursue any alternative funding opportunity that we can find. This past year, we hired a grant writer. We're hoping that with that additional funding, we can run certain programs. So we have additional funding. We can investigate all the facilities for expenses. We spend a lot of money sending students out of district because we cannot provide certain programs for them here. So we are exploring, we're hopefully planning some ways that we can provide the same programs here that is provided in out of district. Costing us, in some cases, over $100,000 a student. So we are definitely exploring that. And that will lead to bringing back out-of-district students, again, at a very, very large cost. And it would also reduce the transportation costs. Just a couple of board meetings ago, we had a presentation from a facility planner who the facility committee and the entire board met to find ways to become more efficient. The planners will come in, do a feasibility study of the entire district, and give us some options on how we can be more efficient, which will definitely save us money and be cost effective. So we're not just sitting back and relying on the budget and saying, you know, this is a 2% cap, we're going to use whatever we can. We are being very actively in pursuing ways that we will bring down the cost of operating. And we're hopeful that next year we can come back during our budget presentation and let you know this is something that we have been able to do to reduce the cost. We're being very active. And again, I think all of us here, whether we're educators, board members, and community members, want to make sure that the students of Roselle Park get the best quality education they possibly can. It's a very challenging time for education and for our children. It's a brand new technological world, and if we do not give them the resources that they need, our students will pay the price. So, again, the impact of the budget is very serious. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening to us. And I want to thank once again the board for this support. Mrs. Gresham, thank you for such a great presentation. And what we'll do now is we will take questions based on the budget presentation only at this time. Thank you.
Seeing there is no public. Oh, seeing there is some. Welcome.
Salters and 150 Berlin Street. There was one figure that was given of a 12% increase for the health insurance. Is there anything else other than those two figures? Because it doesn't add up to 12%. It adds up to 5.19%.
You have to remember that the figures here involve a lot more detail than just a cut and dry. This was it this year, 12%. Actually look at all of the individual people who are enrolled in the health program. Sometimes people come and go, people leave the district, and people come in. Someone might have family insurance or someone else has single insurance, so those changes, affect that total amount of money. In addition to that, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that several years ago, there was a new law that was passed which requires all school districts and all public employees to contribute to their health insurance. It was a 4-year plan, and we are currently in year 3 of that plan. Next year, which the budget we see proposed, we will be in year 4. So contributions will reach their maximum amount next year. So that also affects the total cost of the health benefits, because the staff will be contributing to the cost more next year, which means the portion that the school district will be paying will be slightly less. So we put all of those concepts together. That is the dollar amount that comes out. So
if it's almost, say it's 6%, it's 5.19%.
The cost of health of the individual benefits is increasing by 12%, but the total net of it does not amount to 12% because of the multitude of other factors that affect that.
So as a whole, so let's say something in my house increased by 12%, but I get the contributions that were put in, the dollar amount. But because I'm just wondering, because that's what, so, and because the taxpayer, let's just be honest, when they see 12%, they think it's 12% of their money as opposed to a 12% payment made to a company and then 6.8% is taken away by contributions and other factors. So I was wondering if that could be clarified for next year. Because although the 12% is correct, the dollar amount is really what the person who's reviewing the budget. I understand what you're saying. You're saying as a total of 10%. But
So
at the end of the day,
the percentage that you
okay.
paid might be accurate. I haven't checked
Okay.
that figure.
And then my other question was, and it had to do with, and I don't know if this is in line because it does affect the budget, but it was a recommendation that I had made about having a dollar amount attached to proposed programs in the strategic plan for following budgets. Because again, everyone was going to go towards, the kindergarten, and if people knew that that is going to come with a price tag for the next 4 years, because I was part of that strategic plan for the next 3 years, they can become more realistic when these budgets come out and the pitchforks and the torches come out, to say, hey, there's a price tag attached and, if it's wanted, this is what's going to have to happen. And there was another slide, I'm sorry. Yes. The educational efficiency study. That's the firm, and that is their price of $75,000. Or is that, let me rephrase that, is that what's budgeted for their services, $75,000? Is there a gauge? I hate to say that because I understand the study is a one-shot deal, and they go through everything and then come back. But is there something in the contract that's
Excuse me, but
yes, definitely.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
But it's incorrect to assume when you're looking at the slide that lists the expenditures over the 4 budget years that because the contracted services was $557,220 last year, next year we're proposing $632,220, that all $75,000 is
right.
for that facility.
That's what I asked. Because I said
That's incorrect, because there are a couple of contracts that have increased from year to year, so
that's what I wanted to ask.
a smaller
Thank you.
portion of that.
Because I did ask, I said, is that for that? Okay, so whatever portion that is, and it's a public record at some point. Are they much like the grant writers? So if they come back and they say, sorry, Roselle Park, there's zero we can do. I guess there's nothing we can do because they came out with a study and said, sorry, it's zero, but I guess the board and the school should have something to back up and say an independent person came in and did that. And in line with that, because one of the things I was talking about in the budget was redistricting, and maybe that's not for this because it's not part of the budget, so I'll ask later. Thank you.
Janine Goodis, 152 Bourbon Street. I have a question. I ask this, I believe, at every year when we announce this budget. From what I can see, we're going up a little less than $1 million. Say the budget is not voted for. What do we go back to? We have to run, they have to give us money. What do we go back to? what dollar amount? If the budget is going down, I know that it then goes back to be reworked. What is the dollar amount that we go to?
The budget does not go out to the community for a vote. At our next board meeting, May 12th, the budget will go to the Board of Education for their vote, their approval. I'm sure that if the board who's going to be making the decision felt that there was a need to alter some of these figures, they would give direction to do so. We would have to go back to the county office to get permission to alter the figures, because if you noticed in one of the initial slides, this budget was already sent in detail to the county office for their review. It has been approved by the county business administrator, Karen Dunn. It's also been approved by the county superintendent, Monica Tone. So the next step is to come to the board for their approval.
So this doesn't go to the community?
Well, it goes to the community in the terms of the workshops and this hearing that we've been having. The purpose of the workshops and the public hearing is to allow the community to give us input. If there was a large concern from the community members at each of those workshops and tonight, then it would behoove the board to go back and make some alterations.
Well, I'm guessing Mr. Harms knows what I'm talking about. In years past, the PTAs were asked to support.
Mr. Commissioner, in years past, when the budget went out to the public to vote on, since the board doesn't go over 2%, the public doesn't vote on it. So your question tonight about what we go back to, if I remember correctly, the last time that question came up when we had to go up and vote, that we would go back to the budget that was in place prior to the new budget being failed. Okay, and then you have to rework the budget to wherever, to that passed, or however, going to that point. That's what she was asking, so is that basically, right now, the public really doesn't vote on it. Okay?
I'm still in the mode where the PTAs come out and say, please vote.
We used to go around and work on it, used to go,
Yes.
but that question would have been good when we used to have it where we residents vote.
And just to comment, as a parent of someone who benefits greatly from going to the Union County Technical Schools, I wish as a town we could look at it as you're looking at kindergarten as a gift, because the 15 or so kids per year that get to go there, it is such a gift. In my home, he is told daily what a gift this is, and it has no bearing on our high school. It has bearing on the classmates he is with, are his mental peers. There's no other way to put it. I wish we could get there. I know it costs us money, but it is such a gift to those children. I greatly appreciate it. And it is taught in my home and my friends' homes who have children who go there, that it is a gift. Thank you.
And thank you for your points. They're well taken, and we appreciate the fact that you recognize that all of the items in our budget are there because they benefit the children of Roselle Park, including the item that you're addressing. We totally agree with you. These are all very important things for the children of Roselle Park.
Jacob Madera, 6 Post Sheridan, neighborhood, Roselle Park. How many budget meetings have you folks had to this point in time? Budget meeting,
Public budget meetings?
yes,
2, and this would be the 3rd.
3. And how about workshops?
2. I mean, that's included in that number.
We have 2 budget workshops and tonight's public budget hearing, which is required by law. The committee has met on many occasions. The administration has met on numerous occasions each of the last 4 months. It's a very labor and process putting together the budget.
How many total meetings have there been? 5?
With the public, with the community,
Five.
It's
Five.
finance committee, or with the community?
It's like, with the budget. How many budget meetings involved?
5.
5. So 5, and it's been an average of about 6 people per meeting. And the budget is
There
better
were
for
seven members of all meetings, and a total of 7 members of all
and
public meetings, 7.
7 total.
7 total?
42 meetings.
But that'll come out at 42 people at 7 meetings at 6 each. So, and that's a little less than $34 million per. So if it was 34 people, it would have been $1 million per person on the budget. Yeah, just thought I'd throw that in. I heard a big thud. Paying a grant writer, how much of a return have we gotten to this point in time?
Jake, it's very early. We have received $4,000 in grants so far, but we are waiting, I believe, another 4.
How much are we paying them? Or,
The annual contract is $25,000. More, not to exceed $25,000, my mistake.
explain, how do you reduce transportation costs if you purchase a bus?
For example, currently, we employ an outside bus company. We have, and they send 3 buses, so we're paying for 3 large buses every day to transport Roselle Park students back and forth from Roselle Park High School to the Scotch Plains campus. The cost of those 3 buses per year is $150,000. In addition to that, we also contract with outside bus companies to take our special needs students to out-of-district placements all throughout the state of New Jersey. That cost is approximately another $150,000. So we're spending close to $300,000 a year for other bus companies to transport our students. We're hoping by purchasing this bus that we can use this bus along with the other bus we currently own to transport a big portion of those students back and forth. So we're hoping to probably realize the savings of close to at least $100,000 per year in the future.
How many children, special children, do you send out on a bus that carries 50 people?
Special needs students, there's approximately, and I don't have the exact number in my head, I apologize, but it's around 12 to 14 special needs students. Unfortunately, in terms of transportation efficiency, those 14 students are going to all different parts of New Jersey. Some going to Essex counties, 1 or 2 going to Middlesex County, 1 going to Bergen County. So one bus can't take those students all of those places at the same time and get them there from Roselle Park at 8 o'clock in the morning. So therefore, each of those special needs students are picked up by different buses. So we pay a transportation cost.
That's transportation costs, not our buses.
Right. Currently, we do use the bus that we have to transport our Roselle Park students whose IEPs require them to get transportation, but yet they attend one of our Roselle Park schools.
And you're going to spend how much money for that bus?
Well, we haven't gone shopping yet, but with some research that I've done, a bus of the size that I would like to purchase costs in the range of $70,000 to $80,000. But we would then have that bus for the next 10 years to use for transportation. So it has a large initial cost, but then over the years, we'll be saving money each of those years.
Have you deducted or included insurance, wear and tear, gasoline?
Of course, those costs are all included in my estimation. And I still believe that we'll be saving about $100,000 each year.
Explain more efficiently use of facilities. How much is it going to cost for that person to do a study for efficiency for this facilities?
The cost, the contract that we have with them right now is approximately $35,000 to do a full facility and feasibility study.
But we have no in the school system that's qualified. We have to go out.
No, this is a huge process that takes place. You need, there are architects that come in with their company that will provide a full study of the district.
And so you're going to cost us $36,000.
It's approximately $35,000.
35,000, not 75.
No. We have budget $75,000. The cost may go up a little bit, but at this time, the proposal we have is for $35,000 or so.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eugene Viola, 226 Sheridan Building. Can you explain the adjustment for banked cap?
Mr. Meehl, can you repeat that question, please?
Adjustment for banked cap.
Sure, certainly. Mr. Miola, if you would, since you have a handout there, look at the slide which lists starting with last 2003 up through 15-16. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Okay. Mike?
Okay, so I'm now going to answer your question.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you notice in the year 2007, 2008, the budget was, the tax levy was $16,740,794. The following year 2008, 2009, the tax levy was exactly the same. We did not raise taxes $1 that year. Because we did not raise the budget at all, the state takes the amount that we would have been allowed to increase it by and puts it into what they label as banked cap. We didn't increase the budget that year by that dollar amount, but you were then allowed to possibly do so in the future. So that was 1 year. Then if you look at the year 2011-12, you'll see that the tax levy was exactly the same as the year before, 10-11. So taxes $1. We kept it exactly the same. The following year was year number 3 that we did not raise the taxes at all. So since we did not raise the taxes in each of those years, the State Department of Education puts that dollar amount aside and allows in the future to increase the budget by an extra amount. That extra amount is the banked cap.
What is the 2% cap if you can just go back and get it in a later time?
But you can't just go back to
If they
the...
say there's a 2% increase now, and you're just going to go down it, the public doesn't have to. If you need these additional funds, then the public should vote on it because you are going over the 2%.
But that's not how
I
the
mean,
law works.
you
That's
don't
not
get to
how
go
the
back
law...
2-3 years if you make a mistake.
But that's
And
not-
I'll get the money I made 3 years ago, and I'll put it on this.
No, but I'm sorry,
Is that
Mr.
what
Viola,
I'm
but
trying to say? Or-
I think you
or am I-
have a difficult time
I'm saying
understanding
there's no
how
savings
the
at
law
all.
works.
2%, and then when that year is over, you save the taxpayers because you didn't charge them 2%, and the taxpayers were very thankful, they were grateful that you didn't charge them 2%, but you don't get to go back in time and bring that money to the future. 2% is lost and you won't ever get it back. Now, if the state says, well, you can go back for 23 years, then what was the point of having a 2% cap in the first place?
But we didn't raise it 2% at that time. We're just saying, it was, we didn't raise the taxes at that point. And to be honest with you, well, and that's what the state allows us to do. We're not doing it purposely to try to figure it out. Personally, I think that we should increase, when I say this is my personal opinion, because we're raising it by $300 now, if we would have raised it in other years, it might not have been this much.
Exactly.
So again, we look good then, and do we look good now? Well, to keep our education going, we're gonna have to. Okay, but that's one of my personal opinion.
No, I agree with you. I would have preferred to take a small bite then than hit me over the head now.
Correct.
The public is not doing it. The public can't say 2% is 2%. You can't go back.
Right, so Mr. Viola, just think about this now. If your point taken right now, that let's just say this scenario happens next year, and we need this 219, that's what it was, $219,000. If we needed that $219,000, that would be over our 2%. Then the public they have to vote on that. They have to approve that. And going back to what we were saying before that, if that portion, that $219,000 gets rejected, let's just take this year for next year, we have to come up with some way, because that was part of our budget now, right? And you have to come up with a way of doing something with that $219,000, find a way to do it, or cut, or do whatever. So there's a possibility that this scenario we're talking about right now could come next year, and a year after that, and a year after that. So again, it worked out for us right now, okay? Because we went back to 3 years, we got that money, we could put it in here. It doesn't seem right, but it's there, and the state allowed us to do it. So right now, we're at square one now. There is no bank. We don't have $219,000 sitting in someplace where the state says you can use this.
Unless they change it once again.
Next year, I don't think they're going to change it.
It'll be a new show. Okay?
Well, could be. I don't know.
I can't believe that because you didn't raise the taxes, you can go back and do it again. And that blows my mind. Because I say once I contribute all I can contribute into my 401k, I can't go back in another 3 years and say, let me give you a little bit more. I can do that.
I guess we took advantage of what the state allowed us to do. I mean, really, that's what we did.
Now, lawyers wrote that out.
I'm not sure we did it, but we took advantage of it.
And I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't vent like this to you, but I find it like buying the bus sounds good, but driver and having to pay that person. It would only be part-time. We wouldn't have to pay full-time salary for that, there's no benefits. It's just, we're at 58% now, and next year we'll be at 60 with the bus and everything else that comes with it. Maintenance of this bus is big and getting bigger. And I think that if you don't know for sure, if you don't have it ironclad, don't do it. If you're taking a guess, hoping that you'll save 100 grand, don't do it. If you can prove it and have it written down and say, look, you will not go over this money,
Mr. Mueller, I would think that Ms. Gershaw has done that, or she
I didn't want this is a guess.
Well, no. I don't think it's a guess because I'm sitting here on board and I'm hoping it's not a guess.
Hoping is, you just went from knowing to hoping.
No. I didn't say that. No, what I said, I hope it's not a guess.
Yes.
Okay? Because when we sit down and budget, we do not budget on a hope. We budget on facts. And when she approached this, that's why we're doing this thing here. Maybe, and I won't speak for Ms. Gershaw, but I sit on the board here, do not think it's a hope, that it's facts. And if I'm going to save $100,000, but if it costs me 80 the first year, and okay, so I only save 20, if I was going to save 100, but every year after that I'm going to save $100,000, I might not get into that $219,000 that I have to go out to the public to vote for. So, yes.
I feel that if you're going to take additional money over the 2% with this cap, it should go out to the public.
No, we're not. It's not.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
No, it's not. So, it's not. So there's nothing to go to the public with. We're not going with 2%.
And that's a conversation that we go to Christie as well, because that's the...
Yeah, he won't answer the phone. I call. I appreciate you hearing me out.
Thank you, Mr.
No,
Miller.
that's fair. Mr. Miller, back to the bus. If you just want to take a look at slide.
I mean, I deal with big people all the time. That's why.
The bottom slide on page 3, we're spending $459,000 on transportation every year. And that's what we are looking at on a year basis. So the bus over time, it will be an initial cost. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. But when we take year after year, the cost of sending students out by bus companies that is costing us, a lot, it will decrease. And that's where we are going to.
Well, I hope that everybody is sure of the facts.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Sanjay Sekou, I live at 336 Sheridan Avenue, Brooklyn. My question is, one of the things that the slides that the superintendent put up, it says results of budget disapproval. No new technology opportunities, reduction of staff, support staff will be cut, no full day kindergarten programs will be cut, no new literacy textbook, no new bus, no new furniture. So I'm asking you, if we don't have those things now, and yet in many estimations, the school system is running well. So why is these things going to hurt the education moving forward? For instance, my daughter is in first grade, she's moving on seventh grade next year. So does that mean if this budget is not approved, then her class is going to have 35 40 students?
Not necessarily. Could impact those things. What we would have to do if this budget is not approved is take a look, because we are counting on $229,000. Then we would have to take a look, take a priority list of things that would have to be cut. It could be staff that will increase the class sizes. It could be technology for students. It could be full day kindergarten. We will have to prioritize and look to see what impact we'll have on the students. But any cut to our budget, right now we're operating with what we have because of the budget that we are half year to approve.
Right.
If that money is not there, it will impact certain areas that I spoke about.
Okay.
Okay?
So
I hope it's not
Right.
to cut staff to increase class sizes, but it could happen. If we start looking, and as you saw from the slide,
right.
one of the biggest part of the job is salaries, and we would have to cut staff because that's what we would, you know, it would be the area that we need to cut the most money, then it would certainly impact on the class size.
So then that would be the plan B. If this doesn't approve, then the...
It could be, yes, it could be.
Okay, thank you.
Right? Thank you.
You want to close out participation of the budget, public participation of the budget for comment? And now we'll move on to personnel. Where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 1 through 2. 1 being staff resignation, 2 being staff appointment. Mr. Bowman, second. Mr. Harms, are there any questions or comments? We wish Ms. Tibbetts and Scott well in their future. And roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Vice President Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Bruppenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Dam?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton? Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Vita? President Miller?
Yes.
Roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now we're on to education. Where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 3 through 8. 3 being education program, 4 being educational trip requests, 5 being ESL Title I Summer Enrichment Program, 6 being workshop attendance request, 7 being harassment, intimidation, bullying incidents, and 8 being the ESY Extended School Year Program. Are they, do I have a motion?
Motion second.
Mr. Dan first, Mr. Nelson second. Any questions or comments?
Number 6, Mr. President, the workshop attendance request, was this competitive, or was this teacher simply request this herself without solicitation? I mean, why is this particular?
Mr. Bowman, the Teachers College, they do need to fill out an application, and it is highly selective. So this is something that we're happy to have this teacher attend, because what would happen is she will come back with all the resources where she can turnkey to other staff members.
So it's like train the trainer.
Exactly.
But she was the only applicant?
I do not have that information, but the Teachers College usually is a very competitive summer institute.
And the other one is number 8. How many students approximately would be involved in the extended school year?
That depends on the IEP, Mr. Bowman, so I do not have the exact numbers.
So what we're doing is setting the structure.
Yes, correct. I can have a number for you once the registration process takes place.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those items are passed. And now we're on to business where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 9 through 13, 9 being approval of bills, 10 being use of the buildings and grounds, 11 being grant acceptance, 12 being district contracts, and 13 being bid award. Mr. Harms?
I'll second.
Mr. Dam? Any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. President. During the previous question, I believe by Mr. Ruggiero, the one number 13, it was stated by our administrator that the lowest bidder was U.S. Bank Corp. Is that correct, or is it actually municipal leasing consultants?
It's U.S. Bank Corp.
Mr. Bowman, it is U.S. Bancorp because although municipal leasing consultants had a rate bid of 1.77%, there was an additional $250 escrow cost and an additional $550 documentation fee. So when you add in that additional $800, the total effective yield then becomes higher than the effective yield of U.S. Bancorp because unlike municipal municipal leasing consultants, they did not have any additional fees above the rate bid.
There were no technical errors or anything with US Bank, of course.
No, the bids are sent to legal counsel by the Middlesex Regional Educational Committee, who is our financial advisors in this, and everything was approved as it's stated there in the resolution if you read towards the bottom.
No, I just wanted to make sure that the bid was not simply based upon the rate, versus all the improvements.
No, there's numerous requirements that have to be reviewed before this.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are passed. Now we're on to committee liaison reports. Does anyone have a committee report? Liaison report they did to speak on?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr.
Just
Thomas.
a quick one, just to let the board know that the negotiations committee has, we met last Monday. We also have 2 other meetings set up for the very near future. So we're moving right along.
Thank you, Mr. Harms.
And the next County Health Services Commission meeting is May 6th, which I'll be attending in Westfield.
Thank you, Mr. Galvin. Anyone else? And there's none. Now we're on to continuing business. Mr. Rito.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. 3 students have been identified as now residing in Roselle Park and therefore have been removed as of April 28th. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
It's been mentioned by folks in the audience that, one of the ways, of identifying students that are illegal, quote unquote, is to work with the town, the code enforcement official. I know we have a new code enforcement official. Maybe it would be good to break ground with this new code enforcement official and approach them maybe on this issue to see if there are some housing situations in town which, provide this kind of environment for students. That's just my suggestion.
Thank you, Mr. Galvin. Does anyone, now we're on to new business. Does anyone have new business that they'd like to report on? Seeing that there is none, we'll now go to the second public participation portion of the evening. If you have anything you'd like to speak on, please come forward and give your name, address, and what you'd like to talk about.
Jacob, there was some close over the Roselle Park. Mr. President Miller.
Yes, sir.
The attorney, was there, would you explain anything that was a closed session this evening? What happened, etc.?
As listed on the front page of the agenda, the discussion was with respect to personnel. There was no action taken, and that's all I can say at this time.
I didn't see it on the front page. It's always that green sheet, extra sheet. And it just...
As Mr. Miller explained at the beginning of this meeting, about 3 meetings ago, we changed the format of the meeting where we opened in public at 6:30, did the flag salute then, and as a result of that, the agenda's changed. So it's the same information, it's just all in one packet now.
You didn't change it without telling the people, did you? The residents?
No, there was an announcement made at that meeting as well.
I didn't agree.
I don't think you were present. I don't think you were actually present. It was about 3 meetings ago.
3 meetings ago?
Yeah.
Must have been the one I missed. Thank you.
Thank you.
This all occurs in 150 Berlin Street. Just for the record, previous engagement. And just want to make sure that Mr. Vita notified the board of his absence.
Yes, Mr. Vita did contact me earlier today, and Mr. also told me about it.
Thank you. I'm sure I asked this before, so forgive me. If we go into closed session, the municipality, what they do is they make it an item on the agenda to say closed session minutes were voted on and approved. And I guess I never see that. And my follow-up question to that is, how do people know? In other words, like if I were to open a closed session minutes, I guess I would, and there should be some, but there's never on the agenda to approve. So suppose members of the board review something in a closed session, they say, no, I think with an open, this wasn't correct, please change this. Is there a way to do that?
So the only way you would know what we vote on in closed session, the most definitive way, the correct way would be if we went into closed session and we said we're going to come out in the open session and take action. In the past couple of years, I've recommended to the board when on any open agenda item to say that this was discussed in closed session originally on such date. If that could be annotated somewhere, I think that might help clarify the issue.
I think, but what I was asking was that there is some record documentation that closed sessions were reviewed and voted on by the board.
Sorry, I missed the last thing that you said.
No, I said what I wanted to know is there the information of a closed session, that there's some documentation that it was reviewed by the board members and then approved, or not approved.
You are aware, I'm sure you are, that occasionally on an agenda we do approval of minutes.
Yes.
Okay. If you were to look back at a previous agenda, we're not doing that this evening, but we usually do it once a month.
Okay.
If you were to look back at last month when we approved the minutes from the month before, you will find that not only is there a notation that we are approving the minutes from the open session, but we are also approving the minutes from the closed session.
Right.
So check that
So
when
it's
you get home.
so
I
it's
believe
make
that's
sure-
what you were saying.
That is what I'm asking. So it is done, and I guess it's just not, maybe I'm just not noticing that it's done that once a month. So my apologies. Thanks. But I guess they're done in bulk, for lack of a better word.
Yes.
So the two closed sessions are going to be done once a year. And my other question was, there's been discussion about voters no longer having the ability to vote on the budget. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I recall when this initiative first took place, or was given to different boards throughout the state, for lack of a better word, there was a caveat or review period where a board could go back to April elections. Was that 3 years, 5 years, any year? Sorry? So it'd be this year. No, because the initiative was made, but I believe in the law there was some saying there's something to the effect of after a certain number of review period, a board may elect to return to April elections. I'm almost certain that was the case.
That was only for the election, so that wasn't, it had nothing to do with the 2% cap.
No, correct.
That would be election. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I thought you were talking about the 2% cap is what you were talking about.
Well, because remember, for lack of a better word, the trade-off was move your elections to November, save everyone money, and as an incentive, or the 2% cap, since that's your ceiling, the only thing that gets voted on is over 2%.
I don't remember it being that way. I remember it being that you could leave it in April.
Correct.
And then you had to give it the big cost because that had to be put out in Spanish. Also, that was a cost for it. We let it go. There was other communities that stayed with April, but I think that not all of them were. It had nothing to do with the cap. It to move the election. It had nothing to do with the cap.
I think,
No, it had nothing, no.
because I recall saying that, so I guess I'll find out the school districts that remain in April if they have that 2% cap, because what would be the purpose of having an election? No, but I'm saying, so nowhere in the state, regardless of when the election is, you're sure about that?
Yeah, the only thing, if you read the paper the other day, there was one school district that didn't approve the referendum over the 2%. They didn't pass that. And it's the same thing. The state, every district in the state has 2% that they can go to without voters' approval, basically. Anything over that 2% has to have voters' approval.
Okay.
It's all the whole state. It's not that we're unique.
Oh, no, just because I'll check.
You know, I really will, but it was down to, it was every once in a while, so.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. That's why I'm asking. And the last point that I was going to make, it had something to do with, my apologies. Oh, full day kindergarten.
Yes.
The registration period, are there still spots available?
Yes, there's spots available. We cannot guarantee a school number.
Okay.
Okay, once they go over the 22 numbers, then
Right.
they cannot, we cannot guarantee them.
So there are spots open, but they may not be available in your neighborhood school.
Correct.
And that leads me to my other question. Thank you. Redistricting. The firm that's going to do the efficiency study, I was doing some research, and a part of these efficiency studies is looking into redistricting. And I know years ago, before I moved in, I think, that was something that was brought up, and it was basically not supported. But again, to save money, and that's what the efficiency study kind of said, because if you've got a school that has 100% capacity, and you've got a school that's got 70% capacity, you're not using, so redistricting may now become a point where it will become 80%, still leave room for growth, cut back on any expenses. So I guess the thing is, that is a part of the efficiency studies, redistricting. And people should become aware that at some point, that may become an issue that needs to be discussed.
So they don't, in their study, they don't call it redistricting. They look at just utilization of your building.
Of facilities as well.
Okay, that's what they call it. They're not going to call it, again, redistricting. They're just going to say, are you using your buildings, as you said.
Correct. It's the most efficient use.
You know, that 34 children in the class won't be here. The other school only has 22. Something's wrong with that, and we'll have to change something around. I'm just saying, this is a facility study.
And because my wife is one of the ones who will kill me, because she believes I live by Sherman, that's where my kids should go. That's the best school. That's her. Okay, again, this is
the 22 class.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is that needs to become a reality in the discussion for education of our children.
It does. I mean, that does have to be part of the conversation. I mean, whether you call it, whatever these hot topics are, these hot topics are coming.
Right.
And because we're talking about financial survival for our district, and we don't want to keep going back to the well that Mr. Mio was talking about earlier in the meeting as well. And that's why we're doing this facility study, because we're looking for long-term sustenance, survival, and excellence in our school district. And we just have to find other ways, and everything is on the table. And that's what, and we'll present it as it comes back.
Right. And like I told my wife in our lively discussions, having redistricting in the West Cornwall town like Roselle Park is different than having redistricting, say, in Elizabeth. Or the school redistricting is a huge impact as far as travel time is concerned. So, again, for the criticism of cutting costs, if redistricting ends up cutting costs by 20%, if they say, as Mr. Harms, the efficiency of buildings, if used this way, would cut costs by 20%, and then people come to you and go, I don't want that. Then you go back to them and go, then you're paying the more taxes. That's where the cost associated with what people want is concerned. And I hope the efficiency study, and I hope it does, and I think it will provide the current cost of efficiency per building. And then say, compared to if you did this.
Yes.
And if you go back to and say, I don't care if I have to pay through the nose, I want my kid to go to my neighborhood school, then
That's an option.
So when the facilities met with the firm, we asked these questions.
Okay.
You know, they'll give us this plan. If you do this plan, A, B, C, this is what you'll say, this is what it is. And in certain areas, whether it would be electricity, you know, again, everybody comes out and say, we'll change the light bulbs for you. We'll say electricity, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then we went into the bigger stuff, as you're saying, utilization of our buildings the correct way, that type of thing, and I'll give you plans, and basically, as you said, today's cost, not 15 years ago cost.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Eugene Mule again. I just have one thing to say. Wouldn't it be better to have this at the Borough Hall instead of this traveling meeting from school to school to school? You get more of a turnout, and people wouldn't have to go up and down them stairs all the way over down to the street. I mean, that's just my opinion.
And I appreciate your opinion. We like to showcase our schools, and that's the reason why we would like, I mean, that's my personal opinion. It's so nice to have in our buildings and show one of the things and have the students come to our buildings when we do have to presentate. But I understand, I mean, I appreciate where you're coming from.
That's it.
Thank you.
And if anyone does have difficulty coming, just let us know.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Brewer's working out too, so. Seeing there's no one else, we'll close the second public participation. There is someone else.
I have a comment about the summer camp. Now, I know that the district has a summer camp, and then what happens is you have a lot of students, and the age range are vast. And I know last time I was here, I asked about possibly looking into having satellite schools for the summer camp. I thought that's a possibility because as someone who works with children, I know to have such a vast difference of ages from kindergarten or first grade all the way to 12th grade could create some type of obstacles. And I know the district may have challenges in terms of facilitating maybe a satellite area where students could be broken up. But I would like for the board to look into that possibility, not for this upcoming year, obviously, but for next year and moving on. Just put together a committee, if possible, to even study that and to see, one, if it's feasible, two, if it's doable, or three, if it can possibly raise revenue. So as this board is meeting, and I know pretty soon we're going to be breaking for the summer, I would like to see the board get together and form a committee that can look into having satellite places in order to separate the age ranges at our summer camp. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sigel. Seeing there's no one else, we'll close the second public participation portion of the evening, and I'll let someone make a motion to adjourn. Mr. Harms. Second. Mr. Pam. All in favor? Aye. Before I adjourn, I just want to remind everyone on May 12th, that's our next board meeting at the Lockport Gymnasium Auditorium. And that, the open session, we're going to start that at 6 p.m. And then as soon as we're going to go into close and hopefully start around, continue the meeting. See you then, and we are adjourned. Good night. Thank